Hey friends and welcome. This is Dr. Heather coming to you live from Ask Dr. Heather. And today, guess what? We are not really going to talk about our immune system. We are not going to talk about, we'll talk about clean eating because we just have a few days left in our clean eating, but we're going to talk about our adrenal glands, something I've been getting a lot of questions about. I do share a lot about that. I do intermittent fasting. I do weekly extended or monthly extended fasting, which we're getting ready to start on this April 19th. One day a week, I do a 24-hour fast, and I always share that, my adrenal stress time is between 1 and 4 in the afternoon, and that's gone on for decades. And yes, Hallmark League people who have adrenal stress, it generally goes on for decades, and you just work every year, every month, every week on repairing that. So I do have one video already on adrenal stress, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about this time of year because there actually is a good reason that we have adrenal glands. We actually need them for survival. So as you're joining me, let me know where you're joining from. This is absolutely meant to be shared because we're all talking about stress. Most of the time we're hearing about stress in a negative situation. So I'm going to talk about good stress and bad stress. So good stress comes when we tell our body, hey, let's deliver a baby. Hey, let's celebrate we won the lottery, or hey, let's celebrate that we're closing on a new house, or hey, I'm going to tell my body I've got to pull an all-nighter because I've got to study for a test, or I've got to pull an all-nighter because I'm a police officer, or because I'm a first responder, and I'm going to ask my body to do amazing things and stay up all night. My brain needs to stay alert. So there's a lot of times that there's actually really good stress. Even do a normal workout is stress on your body. We're asking our adrenal glands to actually perform at a very high rate. So let's just take one big giant step back. Hey, Joe, thanks for joining me. And Jill, thanks for joining me. Our adrenal glands are little glands that sit on top of our kidneys. I generally refer to them as the engine for our body. I talk a lot about our thyroid gland. Our thyroid is like the ignition for our body. Well, the adrenal glands are little glands that sit on top of our kidneys, and they are like the engine for our body. They have a middle part and an outside part. The middle part is called the medulla. Hi, Carol, thanks for joining us. And we also have an outside part called the cortex. So we know that they're little glands that sit on top of our kidneys. They produce hormones that we cannot live without. They including our sex hormones, including cortisol. Cortisol is really what helps us respond to stress. And generally when we actually recycle and repair cortisol is when we do that at night when we're sleeping. So that's why sleep is so important. You hear all the time, leading thought leaders, sleep is our secret weapon to our overall health, because if we're not sleeping, we're not repairing that cortisol, because that's the gasoline that fuels our adrenal glands, which are essential for survival. Our initial adaptive phase, that's when that good part of adrenal comes in when, we say, hey, let's go run and catch our dog. My dog just went off the leash. Or, hey, my toddler's rolling down the street on their big three-wheeler. I've got to go run and catch up. Our adrenal glands, that's an epinephrine, norepinephrine response. And our body says we need to go do that. That's a positive stress response. We're calling on our body to do that. Now we would expect our body to calm down when it does that. When it doesn't calm down because it's had too many prolonged stress responses, then we know we have a maladaptation phase, which means it doesn't adapt long enough. We're always in that fight or flight response. And that's what a lot of people are talking about. When we're talking about the virus, and we keep talking about day after day, you turn the news on in the morning and mid-morning and mid-afternoon and at night. And then when you can't go to bed at night, you're turning back on the news, you're checking it again, or you're letting that blue light in your face. Or we can talk about it with food. When you're eating, the average person eats 17 times a day. We're eating 17 times a day. Anytime you're putting calories in your mouth, you're overstressing that adrenal gland. Again, the adrenal glands need to have time to rest and repair because it's essential for our body to actually perform day-to-day function. The cortex does things like runs aldosterone, it runs our adrenal glands, it helps makes DHEA, it helps recycle all those things. So it tells our pituitary when it's time to go to sleep. It also helps tell our body, hey, you're fatigued. You need to actually shut off. And a lot of times we don't listen to that, but that's a very important thing that the cortex of the adrenal gland does. So again, think of that like kind of like the outside. It's kind of more outside. The medulla is the inside of the adrenal gland. Also think about when you're craving things. That also has to do, my dog is in here. I've delayed this because she keeps coming in and out, and now I've got her blocked in here. Hey, Danny. So my flight or flight response is going on right now because my 85-pound German Shepherd is trying to get underneath a wire that she cannot. Danny, come back here. So this also affects our digestion because anytime that you're speeding up your heart rate, your pupils are starting to dilate, also your gut responses are going. If we shut off, that's because my German Shepherd has overtaken my room. So what happens is that our adrenal glands do many of those type of things. The same thing for childbirth. It also helps respond. Thank you for the thumbs up there. So she's staring very intently. So if she starts barking, just beware. So we also know that there comes a time it also helps control our blood pressure. So if you're a person who is laying down or sitting down and actually you stand up very quickly and your blood pressure drop, we know that's called orthostatic hypertension. That's a real sign that the adrenal glands may be in trouble. It needs some help. It needs some rest. Some other things you can do is start to monitor, because the tips right now is like, how can you tell if your body's in adrenal stress? How do we know if it's in a normal adaptation phase or it's an extinction phase? It's just totally tired, or it's just a maladaptation phase where it's not responding or repairing as much as it should. It normally should respond. So think of it like a workout. I'm kind of a little circle because my doggy got me messed up for a minute. So normally if you go and do an aerobic class and you're checking your heart rate, we used to do this in the 80s, in the middle of the aerobic phase, and then after you get done either running or after you get done with an aerobic workout, your heart rate should respond and should calm down. Let me pull this. Come here, honey. Danny, come here. Thank you, guys. There she goes. Normally your heart rate should actually accommodate or come back down 2 minutes after you exercise. The same thing with your blood sugar is also controlled by your adrenal glands or glucocorticotropic hormones. Normally after you eat, your blood sugar should return to normal 2 hours after you eat. Your adrenal glands also help control your sex hormones. So we start talking to people who have no energy, where they have because they're just not responding from day-to-day operations. It could be from folding your laundry, emptying the dishwasher, or it could be from mowing the lawn because their neighbor was mowing the lawn, or it could be from doing the smallest amount of exercise. Or on the other end, you're so tired, and the minute you start doing exercising, aerobic exercise, and then you feel really rejuvenated, that's another sign that your adrenal glands are a little bit out of balance because you're having trouble getting going. But those signs are that your pulse is not recovering 2 minutes afterwards. Or if you go from sitting to standing, your blood pressure should actually rise 10 points. And you should have really 40 millimeters between the top and the bottom number. So normally they'd say for a 20 or 30-year-old, it should be 120 over 80. But if you actually have that sitting down or lying down and then you stand up, maybe you're getting lightheaded, maybe you're seeing sparks and flashes, and maybe your blood pressure drops down to 10 points, 110 over 70, or again, you're looking for that 10-point drop. That's called orthostatic hypertension. That's another sign that your adrenal glands may be in trouble. So all these are little things that you can check at home. You can check your blood pressure at home. Another thing you can do is you can also take a flashlight and you can actually shine it in your eye. You can cover one eye or have somebody at home do this with your phone. Your pupil should actually dilate. It should dilate and stay dilated. This is in a dark room. If it dilates and oscillates in and out, in and out, in and out, that also means that your adrenal glands, which are controlling that, because it says, okay, it's nighttime, we should actually be in nighttime mode right now. My cortisol says I should be in nighttime mode. I should be calming down and getting ready to recycle. If you're noticing that your pupil is actually doing, going on and off, then that's another sign that your adrenal glands may be in trouble. Again, all simple tests you can do at home. We do these tests in our office, but no one can't go to the office, but these are signs saying, okay, maybe this is why my body's tired. And if you are a person that some of these tests are actually showing positive for you, maybe you do these tonight or do them tomorrow, then there's some things that you probably need to start incorporating in your self-help. The other thing that we do, if these things start to show positive in our office, is that we do what's called an adrenal saliva test, where we actually take your cortisol level via saliva 4 different times of the day. So we take it at 6 to 7 a.m., we take it at noontime, we take it mid-afternoon, and then we take it around the midnight time. This is, I say, the gold standard saliva test. It checks several different hormones that are produced by the adrenal glands to see where it should be in the rhythm, because your cortisol should be the highest in the morning, because remember, it recycles as we sleep, so that's what wakes us up. We feel rejuvenated. We shouldn't have to go hit the snooze button. We should wake up as the sun comes up. It should be highest between 6 and 7 a.m. in the morning, and then throughout the day, around noon, it should start diving down. Around 4 o'clock, it should start diving down. But if you feel like 3 or 4, you're like, man, this is my craving time. This is when I want some chocolate, or I want something salty, or I just need a big fat nap. That's probably a sign that your adrenal glands are a little out of balance. You didn't either have enough cortisol to start the beginning of the day, or you've already used it all, or you didn't have enough to start with, and then you just crash throughout the night. And then you find yourself again, by the time it's 10 o'clock and you're supposed to go to bed, you lay there and you can't go to bed, because a normal rhythm should start high in the morning around 25 and then should just go straight down. So 6 o'clock in the morning, I wish I had my graph here, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then should just go down, 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 all the way to about 11 p.m. So 11 p.m. should be down here around 0 to 1. maybe 4 at the highest. And then again, it starts to recycle around midnight to 1 or 2. And then you feel that as the body recycles that back up. That's so important for your body to get that natural circadian rhythm. So how are easy things? Say, I'm at home. I don't have access to a fancy test to do. Yes, that's me. My blood pressure's dropping. I have a blood pressure cuff at home. I'm out driving at night, or I notice that reflector lights tend to bother me at night, or when I'm watching a movie at home in the dark, the sparks and flashes tend to bother me, or noises bother me more at night, or when I'm exercising, my pulse is not recovering at that 2-minute mark like you're talking about, or I am having a lost libido, or I get to sleep okay, or I can't get to sleep. I feel like I'm really, really tired. I'm laying there. And I know it's not a thyroid issue because thyroid people fall asleep, but they wake up every 80 to 90 minutes. Adrenal people are so tired. They lay there like a wet rag, but they can't get to sleep. And sometimes they have cold hands, cold feet, things like that. Other things, there can be sometimes a little bit of a crossover between the adrenal and thyroid symptoms, and that's where testing comes to results. But if in doubt, let's check it out. So do some very simple things. Very first thing we always have people do, write down what you're eating and write down the time. This is where intermittent fasting is one of the best things that you can do for your body. We know there's more nerves in your gut than your spinal cord. So if we think the average person, this is real data, eats 17 times a day, eats 17 meals a day. So if you put a piece of gum in your mouth, a meal is any time you're having calories. You're having a piece of mint, you're having just like a bite of this or a bite of that, or even a fat bomb or just a handful of cashews. That's considered a meal. So if you're having that meal in 12 hours, every time you're eating, you're asking your whole digestive tract to work. That can take 3 to 4 hours to process that handful of nuts or that bite of a candy bar or a little bite of a cracker here or just a piece of cheese here. And that little nibbling can add up to having your adrenal glands work and work and work and work. And it stops 4 hours after the last bite is taken. So if you're eating between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., it is until midnight. And again, your adrenal glands should be recycling there. You are 16 hours asking your digestive tract to work. It's really hard for the adrenal glands to get some rest. So the first thing we recommend is squeeze that in. Again, not eat less, just eat less often. Squeeze that into an intermittent fasting time. Go to that 8-hour window. Eat really healthy stuff. Eat very simple. If you're eating a collage of food, a big stir fry of mess, I wouldn't say mess, a big collage of food I want to call it, sometimes it's hard for your body to sift and sort things out. That's why people do like a carnivore diet for a very short period of time, for 3 or 4 days. Your body only has to digest proteins. Or people do a fat fast. Your body only has to digest fat. It doesn't have to really create a lot of confusion. If you're doing cooking really fancy gourmet stuff, it makes it very simple for your body to do that. So I do want to say, hey Rod, thanks for joining. And Mike and Sherry and Frank and Tammy, this is absolutely meant to be shared, but I know we're all talking about adrenal stress. So really reviewing that, just think, is my body, am I responding to stress properly like we talked about before, or am I abnormally responding to stress? Is my body not overstressed? Is it overstressing, over-responding, or am I recovering normally? Is my blood pressure dropping when I'm standing or going from laying down to standing? Am I getting lightheaded when I do a down dog or if I do a burpee? Am I craving things? That's another sign of that. Or do I have a lost libido? Or am my cycle starting to get, messed up, so to speak, or having andropause if you're a male? Those things are really big signs. So what you can do, again, intermittent fasting, number 1, help the body calm down. That's where ketones come into play. Really big thing. You guys hear me all the time talking. If I have a flare-up with my RSD, I will do a fast until I feel like my body's calmed down. Calm down is my heart rate's normal. I don't feel short of breath. I feel like I can push myself a little bit farther, whether it's walking or doing things. And sometimes that's 24 hours. Sometimes that's 60 some hours. It's a little bit different depending on what your body is. And if you've never done a fast, then I'm going to maybe challenge you, check with your healthcare provider first. Challenge you maybe just do 8 hours or eating in an 8-hour window for the next 4 or 5 days and see how your body responds. Because then the stress is it's only digesting food for that small amount of time. Or maybe you say you've already been doing maybe 10-hour windows, then maybe let's challenge you to do an 18-hour window just one time a week, or maybe every other week, try that. Or maybe you're ready to do a keto reboot. And it's not about a sales pitch, but it's about why I do that. Because somebody asked me last week, how did you do 81 hours? How did you do an 81-hour fast? I didn't do a dry fast, which is no water. I didn't do a water-only fast. I made sure that my mitochondria, I made sure that my adrenal glands had energy so they could continue to clean out the debris at this cellular level. So I made made sure I made a keto jello. So I made sure that I was having little bites of ketones throughout the day as I felt my energy drop. I made sure that I had electrolytes, because what your body needs is electrolytes are essential for survival, especially for the adrenal glands. We talked about mineral corticotropin hormones. We didn't say that word, but adrenal glands produce mineral corticotropin hormones, or they help control your mineral balance. That's why the blood pressure drops. That's why you can get dizzy from sitting to standing, or you get those little sparks or flashes, or that's why the eye pupil dilates when you shine the flashlight in a dark room. That's because the mineral corticotropin hormones, or your blood pressure can either be high or it can be low. So whether it's hyper blood pressure or hypo blood pressure, it's still controlled by the adrenal, your glucocorticotropin hormone. So you've overate too many sugars too long for years because we didn't know any different. That can also be allergy season here in Kansas, and we've had some wind blowing. So right now, if you have some allergies, whether you're eating them or you're breathing them or you're sleeping on them, that's dust mites and things like that, then your adrenal glands are having to help produce that histamine response. The histamine response is also produced in the brain, but the histamine response is also being produced by your adrenal glands. So they can be overstressed simply by the environment and the wind and the things out there molding Kansas. It can be stressed out by what's happening in the news and the media. It can be stressed by what you're eating. Plus, if we add financial stress in that and we add emotional stress in that, all that can tax your adrenal glands. So what you can control the blue light on your phone or your TV. You can watch happy, funny things. You can play game shows instead of watching negative crime scene things. You can listen to good music instead of negative music. You can do puzzles instead of doing other things that are negative. You can take nice baths, Epsom salt baths, do massages, things like that actually calm your body down. I know it seems like it's a little funny, maybe a little bit redundant, but it's so true. Write a gratitude journal. There's real literature in science that when you write a gratitude journal, there's something called neuroplasticity. Neuro means brain, that we have connections that get torn or ripped apart if negative thing happened. Maybe you were bullied in high school, maybe you're in a very, very traumatic car accident, maybe you fell down the stairs, or maybe you had 4 or 5 headers when you were playing football or hockey or soccer, or you've been through a terrible divorce, or your house caught on fire, you had somebody die in your family. There's little things that happen that are negative in our life that create bad connections in our brain. When we start to do positive things in our brain, like doing things like a gratitude journal, an attitude journal, smiling and thinking, taking yourself back to a positive spot, we actually make new connections through neuroplasticity called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factors, and we actually make those happy connections or make very positive connections in our brain, which can help calm down our adrenal glands and calm down our sympathetic nervous system. But I did want to mention that not all stress is bad. Stress can actually be good for our body. It's what allows us, again, to pull all-nighters. It's what allows women to deliver babies. It's what allows police officers to do their job, firemen to put out fires. I know I'm leaving occupations out there, but that's what allows a lot of people to do their day-to-day jobs. It allows, mothers to keep their temperament when somebody spills milk all over the floor. That's what allows our body to stay calm and things like that. So there is good and bad stress, but those simple little tests, when you start to say, okay, now my body's not responding in the way it should. Now I need to help it out. I need to really focus on getting better sleep. I've got a video on sleep hygiene. I really need to clean up my diet. And we've got 5 days left in our clean eating diet. So in the next 5 days, I'm really going to eat clean. I'm going to eat an 8 to 10 hour eating window. I'm going to focus on that. Maybe I'm going to, she's been talking about these ketones for 5 years. Maybe I'm going to really talk about or ask her about these ketones. Maybe I'm missing electrolytes because I thought salt was bad. Now she's saying salt's really important for the mineral balance and the health of my adrenal glands. It is essential for the health of your adrenal glands. So when we start to talk about very, very simple symptoms of the adrenal gland disorder, it can be high blood pressure, low blood pressure. It can be muscle weakness, just flaccid, feeling like a wet noodle in the middle of the day or the end of the day, moodiness, irritability, depression, high blood sugar, low blood sugar, slow rate of growth, even in children, can be adrenal stress, and they can pick that up from us, from parents, from other ones. Acne as well can be actually acne underneath the skin, acne underneath fat folds, upper body obesity fat, whether it's underneath the chin or underneath the stomach or around the breast for men. That can also be an issue, or having excess hair in the wrong gender. That can also be a sign that there's some adrenal gland issues. But again, the very mild ones, as we talked about before, was just the maladaptation. So I know this is backwards, I'll post it again. But again, we have positive initial adaptation that our body is supposed to respond to. Your blood pressure is not supposed to be the same the whole time of the day. Your pulse is not supposed to be the same. So when you're sleeping, your resting pulse should be anywhere in the 50s to the 60s, depending on what type of condition that you're on. if you're athletic condition, if you're in really good condition, it should be probably in the 50s. If you're not in great condition and you're elderly and maybe you're in the obese category, then maybe your resting pulse should be in the 70s or 80s. We know if it gets in the 90s, then there could be some problem going on because of excess weight that can happen. You're not moving around enough. Your lymphatic system is stagnant. So as you move around, though, no matter where starting A is from sleeping, whether you walk to the kitchen, to the garage, to the kitchen, to back to the bathroom, you take a shower, your pulse should go up. Your blood pressure should go up. As your body's saying, hey, let's do this, let's do that. You're pumping blood through different muscles, doing different activities. And then as you slow down and stop activities, so should your blood pressure should calm down, and so should your pulse should calm down. When they don't calm down within a couple minutes of stopping activity, that's when we know there's probably something going on. And the adrenal glands, again, are the engine for your body. It doesn't rule out cardiovascular issues, and I'm not here a doctor to diagnose or treat, but where everyone's talking about stress, I think no one's really said there's actually good stress for your body. When you do a PR at the gym, that's stress. When you actually, if you're playing a game and you do the sweet goal at the end of it, that's actually stress in your body. Celebration of that can be stress in your body. So again, my name is Dr. Heather Carden. Hopefully I brought some value and clarity a little bit to what there's positive stress, what your adrenal glands are and what they are not. I do have a longer video over on Ask Dr. Heather on my YouTube channel, deep diving into more of the other hormone enzymes and neurotransmitters. Is more a biological and probably more of a scientific, I would say scientific deep dive into what the adrenal glands really are, more of the anatomy of them. I wanted to keep this really simple, and I wanted to give you some tools. So if you see yourself getting stressed out, or your family saying, oh, you're so stressed out, well, you can do these checks yourselves. You can check your pulse. Everyone's got a fancy watch on, that kind of stuff. You can check your blood pressure if you have something at home, or you can check your pulse, or you can simply just have your partner or your kiddo, do a nice little science experiment on your eyes. Or if you yourself go, you know what, that's true. When I drive at night, the reflectors off of other people's cars or the road signs really do bother me. That kind of stuff, that's what you can tell yourself. Or do some burpees. If you get lightheaded and you take a pinch of sea salt and that makes it better, that's going to tell you your adrenal glands are probably out of balance. If your cycles are starting to get off because of the stress going on, that's another issue that your body says, hey, I'm not going to waste energy on reproductive cycles. I'm going to save it for my brain and for my heart, which are far more important than my reproductive organs. That's why you get a decrease in libido, and that's why you start to get early andropause or early menopause, because the body says brain and heart most important. Next, then the kidneys are the next important thing. So again, you guys keep your questions coming. I want to be here to bring you value and let you know that, again, stress can be an amazing thing as always. But again, if you want to know more about ketones, you want to know more about our amazing 60-hour keto reboot, that we have 3 different programs involved now. We have a good, better, best. You can do an 18-hour, a 36-hour, or a 60-hour reboot that includes the electrolytes, the amazing Mitoplex that preserves your lean muscle mass. We have anti-aging signal OS. We have a bone broth in there that provides the protein. You do not eat any food. You do not get your coffee, but we have all the other things to cover your basic metabolic needs to upgrade your health during either the 18, the 36, or the 60 hour. We have them available for about 48 more hours, and then we'll all do it together as a big group, one big coaching community group on April 19th. We do it once a month. I do a 24-hour fast 1 day a week, usually on Thursdays. So being a Holy Week here, we may do this on Friday this week, but let me know if you're interested in just joining me one time a week. I do it again once a week, generally on Thursdays, because it's my busiest office day, and that makes it really, really easy for me to actually keep myself busy. I used to on Tuesday because that was a hot yoga class night, and I thought that's when I could really burn the most glucose and glycogen, but now I'm actually doing it more on Thursday and Friday because that seems easier for me. But you guys have a great day. We're so happy to have you join us. I'm glad Dr. Jamie just popped in the house because, give her some thumbs up here. So we will be kicking off our 10-day Keto Kickstart April 9th, the one that we do twice a month. We have our private coaching group, so either reach out to Dr. Jamie, myself, Dr. Deb, Brandy. I think we've got a couple more people who will be helping us this month, but reach out to us if you want to join us in our 10-day Keto Kickstart, which starts April 9th, so just a few days. But again, to get your reboot kits, you've got 48 hours. So you guys have an amazing day, and we'll be seeing you guys soon. See you later.